Joining me live now to discuss this, Trump's attorney and author of Stealing Your Vote, the inside story of the 2020 election and what it means for 2024, Christina Bobb. Christina, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's just, first of all, your first impression of this massive decision. I mean, this is a big deal. 9-0. There's no room, no wiggle room here, is there?
No, I think it was very clear. It was clear that the justices worked hard to make this a unanimous decision. It's a rather small in size opinion, obviously not in impact, but it's a shorter opinion, and I think that's because they really trimmed it down to the issues that they could all agree on to make this a unanimous decision, and that ended up being that it is with the federal government, the Congress, and not for the states to make this decision. Sure, there were some concurring opinions about the size and scope of that, but they really trimmed this to make sure that they came up with a unanimous decision, and I think that was the right approach.
Yeah, they came up with a unanimous decision, 9-0. States, you do not have the right, because the justices also understand quite simply this. If Democrats can target Republicans and take them off the ballot, well, then in red states, Democrats can be targeted and taken off the ballot. Then you'd have, 20 states left? We actually had R's and D's left on the ballot, and those would be the states that would decide how America goes forward. That's not the way it's designed or how it's supposed to operate. So the magnitude of this decision is very significant, wouldn't you say?
It is very significant. And, they sidestepped the elephant in the room, pun intended, which is Donald Trump has never been tried or even charged with insurrection. So this entire process was largely an academic exercise, because even if they somehow came to the conclusion that the states are able to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment on their own, they still have the problem of Donald Trump was never tried. Doesn't he have a right to a trial? Doesn't he have a right to a criminal trial? And they never got to the core issues of it, understandably, because they wanted to make it a unanimous decision, which, again, is the right thing. But there were many, many, many landmines that could have been triggered to really kind of throw a wrench in this and make it difficult for the country. So I think by trimming it down to really one core issue, it was a good service to the country.
As I talked to Hans about here just before you came on, I thought the most powerful moments from Mar-a-Lago today when Donald Trump was speaking are the two times that he called out Joe Biden. First, stop weaponizing the Department of Justice and everything else, and basically let the voters decide. And second, and I thought this was just as important, because Donald Trump knows by far the number one issue facing America right now is that open border. And he said, Mr. President, Joe Biden, please close that border. You have the power to do it. I did. You do. Please close the border because it's unsustainable. Both of those moments I thought were very powerful.
They are very powerful, and they're probably the biggest issues that are impacting the nation today. Weaponizing the Justice Department against their political opponent, really, I mean, it's unprecedented. We use that word a lot, but we use it a lot for good reason, because they continue to overstep, in my opinion, their authority and criminalize things that should not be criminal, other than it's their political opponent. That's very, very dangerous. It's a very slippery slope. I don't like it. The American people don't like it. And then the other issue is the border. People are concerned about their safety. They're concerned about their cities. They're concerned about the ability of the cities to sustain this influx of people. And then, of course, both of these impact the election. We've seen several efforts of trying to get illegal immigrants the right to vote, or allow them to get registered to vote and cast provisional ballots. I mean, we've seen a lot of efforts, both weaponizing the government and opening the border for the purpose of impacting the 2024 election. I think President Trump is right to call those two issues out.
And let's look into the crystal ball just for a moment, Christina, if we may, and that is, of course, the next big decision, which would be on presidential immunity. As Donald Trump has pointed out quite clearly and quite accurately, if a president doesn't know whether or not he'll be prosecuted for making a decision while doing his job, it's going to make people afraid to do the job properly and protect this country. I'll give you the last word on that.
Yeah, everything that is in Jack Smith's indictment. They like to talk about insurrection, but insurrection is not in the indictment. All of the conduct of President Trump is his talking and his discussions with his cabinet and his vice president and his advisors and people working around him and members of Congress. It's all geared at talking. That certainly needs to be covered by presidential immunity. Otherwise, how is any president going to talk to anybody else to get the job done?
Exactly true, Christina. So we'll keep an eye on that one. That's another big decision coming from the U.S. Supreme Court, but a big day, a big win for America, really, and Donald Trump, too, today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.